Do you love Chip and Company podcast? Be sure to head over to chipandco.com for even more Disney Parks news, entertainment, and review podcasts. Chip and Company has been delivering the best in Disney news, planning tips, and more since 2009. And now you can get that news in an audio-only format, now 5 days a week. Every Monday, join Mark and Greg for Diz Life Podcast and start your week off the right way by living your best Disney life. Tuesday is our news and review podcast discussing the latest breaking news from the Walt Disney Corporation. Every Wednesday, we're discussing the best of Disney parks with Chip and Greg. Thursdays have Mark and Greg breaking down the top headlines of the week in And Company, a weekly news roundup. And don't forget to tune into Extra every single weekend where we give you a deep dive on the biggest topic of the week. Get that extra dose of Disney in your weekly commute, your time on the treadmill, or even just relaxing around the house. So what are you waiting for? Head over to chipandco.com today and become part of the fastest growing podcast network in the Disney community. We hope that you enjoyed today's podcast, and thank you for being a part of our podcast family. And now, two guys who have stopped watching Hocus Pocus 2 just long enough to record a podcast episode, Greg the Disney fanatic, and Diz Life Mark.
Hoy hoy everyone, and welcome to And Company. Welcome to our weekly review of the top headlines from chipandco.com as we dive deeper into the topics that continue to garner your love and attention. Seriously, thank you for being part of our show here on the Chip and Company Podcast Network. Please don't forget to subscribe and be part of the fastest growing podcast network in the Disney community, where you can get a daily dose of Disney 5 days a week, folks. On today's podcast, Mark, how well received was Hocus Pocus 2? Is Walt Disney World gearing up for the holiday season? Something huge, I'm telling you, is missing from Cinderella Castle this upcoming holiday season. And Mark, what Disney star is getting his own movie? I will be bringing you the spicy hot take this week. Mark will be giving you his Rushmore. And of course, as always, we will spend time trying to figure out where in the world is Mr. Chip Confer and where he has disappeared to this week. I'm all of a sudden not able to talk. Before we get into the headlines, let me welcome my co-host of And Company and purveyor of Diz Life Podcast, ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Mark Valentine. Mark, how are you doing today, my friend?
I am doing amazing. I got back from a trip to Broadway. Michael Ruby, my co-host of Babu's Frickin' Podcast, flew east from California, from San Francisco. He was in New York City. I drove in the hour to go and see him. We saw A Strange Loop on Broadway. We had an amazing night. We had 5 napkin burgers. All is right in the world, my friend. How was your week at Disney?
My week at Disney was phenomenal after getting over the epic failure of Epcot's 40th. I am doing good now. I got over to the Magic Kingdom, saw some Tron construction. I am actually on my way over to the Grand Floridian. They apparently have chocolate haunted mansion Halloween stuff over there.
Side note, you saw some Moana construction as well.
There is a lot of Moana construction. I saw the Heart of Te-Fiti. Yeah, it looks great. Honestly, everything looks great over there. It was a great week over there. But you know what I have to deal with today, Mark? This is a side note. Another side note to your side note. I have to go fix my annual pass. Once in a while, Disney will donk things up, and they did it very badly with my pass. So my annual pass gets renewed this week.
Yeah, there's just a little technical glitch, you said.
Yeah, just a technical glitch. Yeah, it's just, there's a problem.
There was also a problem with
somehow
that
it ended up
speech
under
pattern.
my daughter's name. My daughter is only 15. How did my pass become her pass? I got to figure this out, Mark. But that's neither here nor there.
On an additional topic, Rory is definitely not mad that her pass was upgraded.
Her pass was seriously upgraded. I'm like, why am I
Dad,
paying
why do you
for all
got to
these
fix
things?
this? It's fine.
Yeah.
It's fine.
That is
Everything's
great.
fine.
I got water parks and more. Just drop me off.
Yeah,
All
I just
right.
have water parks now. Like, this is amazing. Dad, don't change it.
Do not change it.
All right, man. Are you ready to get into the headlines of the week?
Please let us start off here at And Company. Mark, bring us our top 4 headlines of the week. Here we go.
All right, let's run amok with this one. Amok.
Did you really just do that?
Of course I did.
I may have lost a little respect for you.
Well, that's fine. You didn't have much to begin with.
Oh, yes, I did. Stop it.
All right, so the Rotten Tomatoes score is officially out now for Hocus Pocus 2, which a lot of people know dropped on last Friday over on Disney+. The sequel is also available for streaming now, Disney Plus, for the entire spooky season. Hocus Pocus 2 brings back Bette Midler, Sarah Jessica Parker, and Kathy Najimy as witches Winifred, Winnie Sanford, Sarah, and Mary Sanderson. Rotten Tomatoes is out. Drum roll, please, ladies and gentlemen. Hocus Pocus 2 is getting a 66% rating score. Hey, better than a 666% rating score.
Did you just do that joke?
I also did that as well.
Wow.
It's been 29 years since someone lit that black flame candle and resurrected the 17th century sisters who were executed for practicing witchcraft, and they're looking for revenge. Now it's up to 3 high school students to figure out how to stop the ravenous witches from wreaking a new kind of havoc and running amok on Salem before midnight on All Hallows Eve. Greg, 2 things. 1, did you see Hocus Pocus 2? 2, do you agree with the 66% rating score?
I can't answer the second one because I did not see the first one. So, unfortunately, I have not seen Hocus Pocus 2. I am not a fan of Hocus
I know you're
Pocus.
not. Yep.
It's so bad that you and I actually called the cat, I believe, Jinx the cat for a few months.
No,
not even realizing
no.
it was Binks the cat.
Do not lump me into that whole kerfuffle. That was a you and Ship thing. I was never a part of that Jinx Binks controversy.
You're the one who said it first. You were like, "Oh, isn't it Jinx the cat?" And I was like, "Yeah, it's Jinx the cat." And then I went on the next day to record another episode.
Did I?
Called it Jinx. Absolutely.
Am I having like a mental lapse? Did I?
How are you on the Hocus Pocus? Look,
we watched it.
Well, it's an amazing franchise to people who love it, and I respect that. I'm not going to say, "Oh, you suck because you like this." I'm not gatekeeping this movie. It's just not a thing that I like.
Well, you're not a part of the pumpkin spice crowd, man. So you're. It's clearly that's why this isn't your kind of movie. You know, this is the kind of movie that the pumpkin spice crowd. They get all hyped for. They dress accordingly. They go on Instagram. They celebrate the Sanderson sisters as only that community can. We did watch it. Linda and I watched it. Here's what I will say. Here's what I will say of Hocus Pocus 2. I enjoyed it more than I did the first Hocus Pocus. I think that is also because it's not as cheesy as the first film. The first film to me is very dated. Very dated. This film, I enjoyed the cast. I thought it was funny. The cast surrounding the Sanderson sisters was a lot more enjoyable. I thought it was a better film. 66%. And now, you know, I also do not like Hocus Pocus.
Right.
In truth and in fairness, 66% is unfairly low for the second film.
Wow.
By my estimates, by about 5%. Hocus Pocus 2 is a solid C- movie. It's not a D. It's not a horrible movie. Would I watch it endlessly? No.
So here's a question for you.
It was enjoyable, man. I didn't waste my life watching it. It was cute.
So here's a question. We have both have kids that have grown up and we have watched a lot of Disney Channel-esque movies.
Sure.
Does this fit into a Disney Channel type movie?
It really does. It was
perfect then.
It was placed perfectly on Disney Plus. It did not deserve a theatrical release. To me, it's very on par with what they're doing with like a Zombies franchise. It's very on par with what they're doing for like a Descendants. The movie has kitsch. It's really fun. You know, they're just fun. Bette Midler and Sarah Jessica Parker are fun. There was a lot of funny jokes, like they're riding on a Swifter. It was good.
They ride on a Swifter.
It was fun. It was enjoyable. You can't overthink a movie like that. And you know what? Like, again, there is an audience for Hocus Pocus. And there's clearly a lot of people.
There's a huge audience. Look, Holly and Rory were excited about it for months. They've been doing nothing but talking about it.
And what did she say?
They had a Hocus Pocus party.
Yeah, and what did she say? Did they enjoy it?
I believe it was Holly enjoyed the first one more because that's the one she grew up with. But she loved the second one and thought that the jokes were more geared towards somebody Rory's age, who's 15 years old. And Rory really enjoyed it.
Okay.
And that's all that, to me, that's all that matters.
Mission accomplished. Yeah.
Yep. Good job, Disney.
Look, Disney's, and truth be told, Disney doesn't really care what the Rotten Tomatoes score is. No. They're not going for Oscars. They're not going for like critical acclaim or for accolades. Like there's no Golden
Globe. They'll do that with Wakanda Forever.
Yeah, there's no accolades and there's no Golden Globes that are going to be awarded for a movie like Hocus Pocus 2. It's truly meant to just be there for the fans of the franchise. And there are clearly a lot of fans. It's one of the top articles of the week for a reason. People love Hocus Pocus. People wanted to go and see Hocus Pocus 2. And clearly they wanted to see what the critical reception was. But here would be my advice to them. Don't listen. Don't care. Who cares? There's so many things even like beyond Hocus Pocus that get review bombed. How much of that is the intellectual property or people just either A, going after Disney or Marvel or Star Wars? Just ignore what the meta scores are. They mean absolutely nothing.
Here's a real question for you.
Okay.
Bette Midler.
I love her.
Is such an amazing artist. She's gone from like critically acclaimed movies like The Rose or something like that to just being a third star on a movie like this.
It's what we call in the business range, Greg. She's got range.
Range. Anyway, moving on.
Moving on. Here we go.
Moving on. The holidays are coming to Walt Disney World Resorts, and Disney has just released all the information that you out there need to know. Obviously, this was really important for people to be making their plans for the upcoming holiday season.
Okay. Whoa. Time out. Have we gone full Home Depot and Walmart? We're not even through Halloween. We're not even to Thanksgiving, and already we're setting up for Christmas.
I will tell you this, Mark. I am over Halloween. I am already on Thanksgiving and Christmas. Like, I'm not even kidding. I could care less. Like, listen, my kids are too old to trick or treat. So what do I care about Halloween night?
Right.
I'm not going to sit there and watch a slasher film.
All right, proceed.
It's Christmas time.
All right, proceed. Take us to Christmas.
It is October 6th. We are recording this in the morning. Merry Christmas.
Proceed. Go to Christmas. I'm just going to sit in silence and drink my coffee. Enjoy.
It's almost the most wonderful time of the year.
Even though it's not. Go ahead.
And holiday cheer is already in the air at the Walt Disney World Resorts. The Yuletide season. This Yuletide season, guests can celebrate in the merriest way with festive sights and experiences and jolly new flavors, plus the return of fan favorite events. Here is a small overview of what is merry and bright this holiday season across Walt Disney World. Let's start off with Mickey's Very Merry Christmas Party. Holiday cheer will fill Magic Kingdom Park as Mickey's Very Merry Christmas Party returns for 2022 for 24 select nights. It is a separately ticketed event. You have the Mickey Stage Show on Cinderella Castle. Minnie will be doing Minnie's Wonderful Christmas Fireworks. Santa Claus will join Mickey and friends in the Mickey's Once Upon a Christmas Parade. You can indulge in complimentary cookies and hot cocoa. You can have Jingle Cruise will be back, especially holiday makeovers of Space Mountain, Tomorrowland, the Raceway Speedway. Let's see, over at Epcot, we have Epcot's International Festival of the Holidays presented by Advent Health. Candlelight Processional is coming back. Joyful, a celebration of the season. The Holiday Kitchens, the Holiday Cookie Stroll. Delightful holiday decor abounds. Jolly trimmings and theming throughout Main Street. Holiday glamour on Hollywood and Sunset Boulevards and Hollywood Studios. Animal-inspired decor. Luminaries on Discovery Island. And make holiday cheer that expats from Earth have brought to Pandora, the world of Avatar and Disney's Animal Kingdom. Iconic gingerbread displays will be throughout different resorts. Merry Menagerie is coming back to Animal Kingdom. Santa will be greeting people at the Odyssey Pavilion at Epcot. Mark, there is so much going on for the holidays this year.
There is.
My heart is filled with joy and promise of this most wonderful time of the year. This is glorious news to me. You can hear it in my voice how happy I am. Here's a hint, and this is breaking news. Over at the Walt Disney World Contemporary Resort, the gingerbread this year shall be, drumroll, Cinderella's Castle 50th anniversary. So they are going to create that over there. We're going to get the gingerbread holiday strolls. We're going to be over at Disney Springs for the trees, and the tree stroll is back. Mark, Merry Christmas, my friend.
Merry Christmas.
And Happy Hanukkah.
Friend. And happy
for my
Hanukkah.
half Jewish family.
And happy Kwanzaa to those people. Happy Christmas Kwanzaa to us all. And
you got nothing. You have nothing.
No, well, listen, I gave my hot tea last week on Christmas season, and I'm so happy that you guys get all of that. But give me the Rockettes, pretzels and nuts from New York City, and steam from the Greats, the tree, the Radio City Music Hall, Christmas Spectacular. That's Christmas to me.
I'm glad you have that opinion until you live down here, my friend. And then you're like, oh, Disney does.
Well,
you know who? Okay, on a side note, the other side notes, sidebar, please. You know who does a really amazing job around here? SeaWorld. Of all places, they do one of the best holidays in Orlando area. So I'll throw that out there. If anybody really wants to take a gander at it and look, trust me, check out SeaWorld's Christmas and holiday display.
I would fly home for Christmas if I lived in Florida. As in, I would fly back to the Northeast to do Christmas in New York City. I would.
Thank you, Grinch.
I'm sorry.
I'm calling you the Grinch from now on.
All right. Well, moving on. I'm going to continue with this Grinchy attitude because
yes, you are.
One of our biggest articles of the week is, despite all of the things that you just said will happen for Christmas, I'm going to put a big damper on something that's not going to happen. And that is Elsa and Anna's Cinderella's Castle Dreamlights will not, I repeat, not be returning in 2022. Disney just dropped a whole lot of news regarding the holiday season. Greg just read off all of the things that we're getting. Some of the returning events, like the Very Merry Christmas Party, International Festival of the Hearts, of the holidays, not the arts.
It's the new Valentine's one.
Yeah. And then some news about what is not returning was kind of like sprinkled in there. On the nights where the Very Merry Christmas Party is not held, Cinderella's Castle usually transformed, took on a magical holiday look. There was a special projections effect, festive colors, a rotating series of designs, yada, yada, yada. Almost everywhere the guests look, they were immersed in that decor. However, those holiday lights, the dream lights, will not be returning to Cinderella's Castle. This breaks my heart, Greg. I will tell you, one of the things I loved most about the Christmas season at the Magic Kingdom, in addition to all of the trimmings all along Main Street, was looking down Main Street and seeing the dream lights on the castle. They also had it on Disneyland. There's no word as to what's happening with Disneyland's castle, but I will tell you this, my friend. I will tell you this. If those dream lights are still on Disneyland's version, there will be a kerfuffle in the Disney community that Cinderella's castle doesn't get them and Aurora or Sleeping Beauty's castle does. The divide will further be there.
There is a simple answer to why this is happening last year and this year. Mark, what is Cinderella Castle overlaid with right now?
It's got the 50th accoutrements.
And the 50th accoutrements will be staying there until at least April 1st. So you cannot, unfortunately, do the Frozen overlay on Cinderella Castle at the same time you have the 50th anniversary on there. This is just delayed. It was delayed last year. It'll be delayed again this year. It will return next year.
How do you know?
I have a what? You know, Mark, in that time of year, you just get this beautiful feeling of,
Okay, spidey senses. All right, listen,
spidey
fine,
senses are
cool.
tingling.
Well, right now, I'm bah humbug. We're not getting our dream lights this year. And And I'm mad about it. I'm mad.
Moving on from Mr. Grinch, because I have
Let's
to get away
happy.
from him this time of year.
Yes.
It's that time of year, as Olaf would
I love
say.
this last headline. Let's get happy about it. And I wish I was reporting on it. Go ahead.
Well,
man.
my friend, you can report on this if you would like to, but I will take this because I actually want to hear your take on this.
Okay.
So, Disney's Figment, our purple imaginary dragon friend, finally is going to get to star in his own movie. Disney's Figment finally getting to star in his own movie. Epcot's own superstar character Figment looks to be getting the big screen treatment straight from the world of imagination and into movie theaters, Mark. According to Deadline, Figment will be written by Detective Pikachu writer Dan Hernandez and Benji Smith, with Seth Rogen's Point Grey in charge. More details are coming as this story breaks. Figment first appeared in Epcot in 1983 at the Journey into Imagination ride alongside his friend Dreamfinder. He was created by Disney alumni Tony Baxter and Stephen Kirk. The movie will not be Figment's first time on the big screen, though, Mark. He had a cameo appearance in 2015's Inside Out and 2019's Toy Story 4. I am happy to see something like this. Here's what I hope. It's a live action animated Roger Rabbit-esque movie. Like, to me, that would be brilliant. You can make him into and take over Roger Rabbit's role. And I hope that happens. And I hope Seth Rogen is there. Look, Point Grey is a great production company. It's in good hands. The writers of Detective Pikachu and a few other things. That was a great, well-adapted movie about a Pokemon. So here's hope that Figment gets the big screen treatment like he deserves. But of all people I want to hear from, Mark, is you.
Okay, so first off, if Seth Rogen is Dreamfinder, I'm in. I'm also cautiously optimistic if Seth Rogen is Dreamfinder, because let's talk about some of. I mean, you just brought up a minute ago. You brought up Point Grey Pictures, which is founded by Seth Rogen and Evan Goldberg, right? Mm-hmm. So we have This Is the End, which was a drug trip. Sausage Party.
Wow, I love Sausage Party.
Which is another...
And the movie, too.
Yeah, which is another drug trip. Game Over Man.
Game Over Man.
I'm trying to think. What else was there? Oh, Neighbors, the Neighbors movies. Neighbors and Neighbors 2, Sorority Rising. So lots of, let's say, adult content for Point Grey Pictures. Not that I think Disney would allow any of that to seep in, but very interesting that that's the production company that's taking on a story about a fictional dragon. So the only other reference that we have to a dragon of this ilk is this going to be like the Puff, the magic dragon? Or, so what's going to happen with this? That said, I am all in on a Figment movie, especially if Seth Rogen's behind it. Detective Pikachu was really creative. I didn't know how a movie about Pokemon was going to turn out, but that movie was actually enjoyable, very enjoyable. And if that's the creative team behind it, I think it shows a lot of promise. That said, I do love Figment. I love all of the love that Figment is getting. And I'm sure that he's very excited to be in a full feature-length film as the star instead of having cameo appearances like he did in Inside Out and Toy Story.
So here's a question for you.
I'm in.
We are you love Disneyland, obviously. I am a huge Walt Disney World fan. We're both fans of Disney World. Yeah. Epcot is the home to Figment. That's his home. That's where he's from. That's what he was created for. Does he have enough cultural relevance to hold his own movie?
That will be seen.
Yeah.
We don't know. Honest to God, we don't know. This could be an epic flop. Or Figment stands could take to the world at large and support this film. Who knows? The man has endless amounts of lines for popcorn buckets and oven mitts. So who knows? We shall see. Is Figment going to be a cross-cultural success? Will the West Coasters embrace him like we Epcotians have? Stay tuned.
Get the sausage party scene out of my head.
Stay
Thanks
tuned.
for bringing that up.
Sausage Party is a disturbing film. I can't even go into the content.
I can't even do it. Like
I can't go into the content.
To move on.
We are a family friendly podcast. We cannot go into the content of Sausage Party. We can't do it.
Cannot do it.
Even the titling of Sausage Party is very innuendo-y and inappropriate.
Don't know what you're
so
talking
moving on. I don't know, man. Chip, did you see Sausage Party? Because I feel like we shouldn't talk about it here. Hey, where's Chip, man?
Mark, when last we saw Chip Confer, he was hopping onto a mysterious plane headed for North Carolina. Carolina?
Yeah.
Carolina would be the word.
Yeah.
North Carolina. Mark, I'm here to say that was actually not our chip. Apparently, that was just another variant chip that is out in the world. Our chip, unfortunately, is stuck here in Central Florida at a place called Gatorland. If you may remember that when the last Chip got back from California Adventures, he had turned into Gator Chip. We get Mark. Wow, I need to learn how to write sometimes. Mark, get your waiters and a paddle and maybe some chickens together as we mount a rescue mission to save Chip from being in the gator pen. Unfortunately, he is supposed to leave Friday for a Disney Wish trip, and truly, we hope he finally gets some downtime to enjoy life.
Okay, so after I come down and we save this variant chip from Gatorland,
yes,
I feel like we should go full Steve Rogers. And like he returned the Infinity Stones, we should return Gator Chip to the multiverse and do our due diligence and make sure that the universe is set right. While we've enjoyed our time with Gator Chip, I feel like at this point, it's really irresponsible to keep Gator Chip running around the 616 universe any longer.
I absolutely agree. Maybe we have to return to where it all happened in Disneyland and find out how to solve this. But anyway, as always, Chip, we will be there to rescue you and to save you. We hope you are back and safe. By the way, Chip, enjoy the Disney Wish. Take some time off. Stop working for a minute.
For real.
Have a great time.
Yes.
And that leads us to the Rushmore of the week. Mark, please, sir, take it away this week.
Every single week, ladies and gentlemen, we are talking about the top 4 of some random item that we decided on prior to recording. About 15 minutes before we hit the record button, I decided to talk about something this week. As you know, Greg, I had a chance to see A Strange Loop last night on Broadway. I talked about it a minute ago. Broadway is a second home to me, and I love Disney theatrical productions. I've seen both of the current offerings. There's 2 current offerings that Disney has right now in an open run, namely The Lion King and Aladdin. There were rumors that Beauty and the Beast would experience a revival. There's been no news on that. So many people recall the Disney's version of Frozen was a casualty of the pandemic. And Greg, lots of shows have been closing. Come From Away, Dear Evan Hansen, Phantom of the Opera was the most notable. Beetlejuice, Music Man is ending its run as well. The 2023 season is wide open, and there's a lot of real estate on the way. Andrew Lloyd Webber has already given us Bad Cinderella. It's going to be in previews at the Imperial Theater, not Disney, but it got my creative juices flowing, Greg. And when I think of the shows that I would like to see Disney put up on Broadway, with all of this space coming available, I present to you my top 4 Disney intellectual properties that I would like to see on Broadway with this week's Random Rushmore. All right, here they are in no particular order. The 4 shows that I would like to see Disney theatrical put up on Broadway with all of these theaters and now open. Number 1, Hercules, Greg. Jelani Aladdin performed as Hercules in a version of this musical, which had a tryout at the Delacorte Theater in Central Park in August of 2019. Many people didn't even know this. I love the music from Alan Menken in this show. It would be a perfect fit to transition to a Broadway stage. The Central Park version was stripped down, so I want to see a fully glammed up version of this show take shape. And if there is a musical coming soon, guys, I would say this is it. This is probably the best shot that we have of a new Disney property coming to Broadway since it was essentially play tested back in 2019. Be on the lookout for some kind of news or announcement. Hercules, I'm telling you this, will be coming to Broadway eventually. They're working on it right now. It's in production. Number 2, this is a little bit more of a stretch and a blue sky project. The rest of them actually are on my part. Number 2, Tangled. Once again, Alan Menken did the score for this animated film. And listen, I'm sure he's got a few more songs in the tank if he needed to score out a full musical version of this film. But the beloved story of Tangled would be absolutely perfect for a stage adaptation. Tangled is beloved as an intellectual property, and there's so many songs that would bring down the house. I can't imagine how fun I've Got a Dream would be to end the first act of the show. Tons of special effects and an all-out lantern sequence in the house of the theater, and you've got a bona fide hit on your hands, Disney. Make it happen. All right, number 3, Greg. I'm just going to say it. Frozen 2.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, man, Harry Potter and the Cursed Child got 2 parts, so why can't Frozen? The sequel, Greg, as you've said, and you will support me on this endeavor, is arguably better as a story than the first film. Or you could even rework the show to have the first act of Frozen be the first film and the second act of Frozen be Frozen 2. Or, dare I say it, work in a third act of the play to include both storylines together. The problem with Frozen as a musical, the problem it didn't survive the pandemic, was the pacing of the story was not great, especially the second act. So adding Frozen 2 to that show and to the storyline would greatly improve the arc and complete the story. So, of course, this all is going to become a moot point the minute that we get Frozen 3. So give me this just for a moment, if only for a moment. Number 4, finally, let's make this happen. Please, God, let's make this happen. Rogers the Musical. Sure, it's Marvel, but they're owned by Disney. People lost their minds over this one. It can't be fun. If they lean into the absurdity of this story, it would definitely work. Fill it with campy jokes about superheroes, make it full of MCU references, and then have a few serious action sequences. Hey, there have been crazier things yet. Spider-Man got a musical that was scored by Bono and The Edge. So I think we can have a Marvel stage show. There are creative shows out there like The Lightning Thief, Back to the Future, Beetlejuice, Groundhog Day that have had incredible runs. So why not give us an MCU musical based on Steve Rogers? Would you watch it? Listen, I'll tell you, I would watch it. And not only would I watch it, but I could do this all day. That, Greg, are the top 4 musicals that Disney needs to bring to Broadway.
That is your hot take. I am not allowed to argue or say you are wrong in any way, shape, or form. In fact, I agree with you on almost all that. The only other thing, Mark, and tell me if I'm on the right path here. The only other thing I could think that would make a really good musical on Broadway would be Enchanted. I think that would work great.
Enchanted would definitely work. That's another one that I would perhaps wait until Enchanted 2 comes out.
Maybe called Disenchanted?
So, look, the 3-act musical or the 3-act show has kind of gone by the wayside.
Right.
So maybe we bring that back.
I think that the 3-act of Frozen, I think that's a great idea. But could kids sit through? Who cares about kids? You know what? Broadway's for adults sometimes.
So fun fact
Why can't you do an adult version of Frozen and make it 3 acts, 3 hours long?
So a lot of these shows, they go through various iterations. Sometimes people don't know this, that they'll write a play, they'll write a musical, and then there will be a theater troupe somewhere that will put it on. And often the first presentation or production of it is very different from whatever the final product is. So Frozen opened out on the west side of the United States. I want to say in Colorado. If I'm wrong, again, yell at me. But one of they had a lot of problems with Frozen when it was written, that they made a lot of changes to the storyline And even what I will argue what they presented over in New York was not perfect. It dragged. It really was not a great story. They had to put a lot of filler into the second act. Second act of Frozen wasn't great. If they brought Frozen 2 and they reworked it yet again and they made it like a Frozen experience, I think the show could actually work a lot better. It would give it a lot more meat. There wasn't a lot of meat in the second act of Frozen.
I can't wait for Hercules. I've heard nothing but rave reviews about was it the Central Park show they put on?
Yeah, so and oddly enough, if you don't know who Jelani Aladdin is, Jelani Aladdin was the original Kristoff in Frozen. So Disney likes using him, very talented, incredible voice. He was underutilized in Frozen. He was really wonderful as Kristoff. It was a colorblind casting, which is another thing that I absolutely loved about the way that Frozen cast their show. And he was remarkable. The footage of him singing Go the Distance was great. And Roger Bart was also a part of that production. You had the genie, Michael James Scott was in that as well, in that production in Central Park. That's going to be the next show. That is going to be the next show that Disney Theatrical puts up.
I'm okay with that. And to end this show tonight, I get this week's hot take, Mark. And Mark, this one is not as spicy as everybody's going to think. We have been hitting these spicy hot takes really hard, going after some stuff. I decided to take this week's hot take and make it spicy and fun for
Why
everybody.
did you have to take some Pepto-Bismol? We have been bringing the fire in the cayenne pepper. Are you really dousing our flames right now?
No. I needed to be a little bit more positive in life this week. I was getting a little hateful, Mark, in my own spicy hot takes, and I decided to bring it down.
Okay.
I decided today to tackle the Disney afternoon, Mark. In this week's spicy hot take, most people remember fondly the Disney afternoon, which aired in the early to mid-90s, featuring shows like DuckTales, Chip and Dale Rescue Rangers, Tailspin, Darkwing Duck, Goof Troop, and more. Truly, shows that live on today in people's memories. But Mark, I am here to say those shows sucked in comparison to the lesser-known shows of the Disney afternoon. My hot take, Mark, today is on how Bonkers, Gargoyles, and the Gummy Bears are the real stars of the Disney afternoon. Mark, let's start with the Gummy Bears. Dashing and daring, they're courageous and caring, faithful and friendly, with stories to share. All through the forest, they sing out in chorus,
marching along as their song fills the air. Gummy bears,
bouncing here and there and everywhere. High adventure, Mark. That is
beyond compare. I agree. And I will also say the best part of that show was the theme song.
This is the first real show that had an ongoing story arc. In most kids' cartoons back then, you would watch an episode and then you could walk away for months like kids do and turn it right back on and not miss anything. Gummy Bears turned into episodic kids' TV at its finest. Backstories, fantasy, love, and mystery. This was almost a perfect cartoon that was just a little over kids' heads and maybe a little before its time, where adults could also enjoy the show and follow along to the story arc. On to Bonkers, my friend. A bobcat that was a washed-up cartoon star, how meta, becomes a cop. The show gets amazing as it turns into a buddy cop show for kids. You learn that this silly cartoon star just wants to be respected and impress his partner, Lucky. Did you know at one point, Mark, Bonkers actually saves Donald Duck from being mugged? On to another show that was episodic and had great storytelling. Ladies and gentlemen, I give you Gargoyles.
It was fun. Gargoyles.
It left a mark on a generation with its intricate, sprawling mythology, complex characters, and smart writing. Running for 2 seasons for only a total of 65 episodes, this series dealt with timely themes while stoking a love of noir, various world mythologies, and Shakespeare, and it brought it to the hearts of millions of kids who might otherwise never have given those things the time of day. Gargoyles were the best serialized episode cartoon ever made and made the Disney afternoon a must-do every day. It put DuckTales and Chip and Dale to shame about how great of a show it was. This is why the Disney afternoon, Mark, in my opinion, was really not about ducks or chipmunks. It was about a bobcat who just wanted to be accepted. Who doesn't, in life, want that? It was about following a bunch of candied bears who may or may not have been doing hallucinogenic drugs on a daily adventure to be heroic and faithful and strong. It was about the grim reality of going through daily life and finding the light in the darkest of nights. I end my hot take to you, Mark, saying gargoyles, gummy bears, and bonkers were the true stars of the Disney afternoon in the mid-90s.
Well, listen, man, you said that your hot take wasn't going to be controversial, but I can guarantee you there's at least dozens of people right now that are screaming at their podcast receiver because I can't argue with you, but I will tell you that there are people yelling at the receiver right now telling you how wrong you are. But if nothing else, it gave us a chance to sing the Gummy Bears theme. So for that, I am eternally grateful. And what a
nothing better.
Yeah, and what a fantastic way to end And Company this week.
Well, Mark, that'll do it for another episode of And Company. Please check out all the podcasts from this week at the Chip and Company Podcast Network and stay with us as we may be bringing you some amazing news in the coming days of a new show.
Yes.
Joining us here at the network. But as always, Mark, end of line.
End of line, Greg. Have a great week. Hey guys, Diz Life Mark here, and I want to tell you all about the official travel partner here at Chip & Company. Let our good friend Sarah at Destination to Travel help you plan your next Disney vacation. Sarah specializes in planning dream vacations for your family. She's an authorized Disney vacation planner, and she can help with every step of your magical vacation. The best thing is that her services are 100% free. Want to travel beyond Disney? Sarah has you covered there too. Want to find out more? Fill out a trip request form over at the website at Chip & Co. or email her directly at sarahsolberg@d2travel.com. What are you waiting for? Start planning that dream vacation today. Email her at sarahsolberg@d2travel.com.